keeper played his part in keeping Mexico in it for a long time, but ultimately the class won out, and Keith, very deserved quarter-finalists, Brazil.
Very much so. In the end, deserved it. Weathered a slight storm in the opening 25 minutes. And if Brazil had the attacking players, if Mexico had the attacking players that Brazil possessed, because of the opportunities they had in the first, that they would have taken advantage of those. Brazil done that in the second half. Willian and Neymar, I thought, were outstanding in the second half. They were probably the difference. But you can see what it means to the Mexican fans.
Yeah.
They've given a great account of themselves, but they've fallen short against a team that have shown in glimpses what they're capable of.
Yeah, Mexico is a magnificent footballing nation, and they hosted two of the best World Cups in memory, that's for sure. Well, I remember them. 1970 and 1986. And hope you obviously know. I mean, there are a lot of Mexicans playing football in the United States, but it's very much part of their culture, and there'll be huge disappointment now as a result of this.
It is, but they have a lot to be proud of. You
Sure,
know,
yeah.
Towards the end of the game, you continue to see players attack. There were too many outside shots, I believe, and I think Juan Carlos Osorio actually made a tactical error by using 3 subs a little bit too early in the game. But Mexico has a lot to be proud of. They kept attacking towards the end of the game. So I think their nation will be happy, as well as the Mexican Americans living in America.
Yeah. What about Mexico, Richie? I mean, to get this far once again and to start the tournament on a high like that against Germany, but there must be a missing ingredient, is there?
They started the tournament on a high. They beat Germany for the first time in the World Cup. They spoke before this about their hopes and their optimism about beating Brazil for the first time. They will go home, obviously, having gone no further than the previous 6 or 7 tournaments, and on paper that would look like a disappointment. But as Hope said, I think there were so many positive things to their performance. There was no sign at all that, you know, some countries are in club football, they get to a certain point and you think, well, psychologically they don't have what it takes, they freeze or they bottle it. There was no sign of that from this Mexican side at all. They started off like a house on fire for a half an hour. Even when they conceded the goal, I said at half-time I'd be looking to see how that would impact them. There was no sign of them being inhibited. They didn't allow Brazil to take dominance of the game. They still tried to get forward in numbers, but as Keith said, they just lacked a real clinical cutting edge up front. But so much of that was aspects they can take hard from. But yet again, they're going home.
They came in under tricky circumstances as well. Now, let's not forget. So overall, I think the tournament has been a success. The only flaw has been the last group game against Sweden. Let themselves down, and if they had got the better of them in that game, they'd be facing Switzerland as opposed to Brazil. Two different dynamics, obviously.
Yeah, they certainly didn't have the look as far as that was concerned.